So today we are taking a deep dive into something that honestly is hiding right in front of your eyes. Like if you've watched any of those breathtaking hyper-digital 4K anime shows over the last decade.
Like Demon Slayer, for example.
Right, exactly. If you've watched those, you are actually looking at the work of a man who started his career back in 1969 with, just a simple pot of poster paint.
Yeah, it is an incredible paradox. I mean, you look at these sleek, modern productions, right? And hiding right under that glossy digital composite are the literal physical brushstrokes of Kazuo Ebisawa.
Yeah, so our mission for this deep dive is to explore that massive legacy. We're using this retrospective article called The Brush That Painted Our Childhood.
Right, because Ebisawa passed away on April 14th, 2026 at age 72.
Yeah, and looking at his timeline, it is like discovering that a single architect secretly built every single house in your favorite neighborhood. I mean, he is essentially the unseen visual DNA of our collective fandom.
He really is. And, well, we have to start with just how early he got into the trenches. I mean, he entered the industry at 15 years old.
Wow, just 15.
Yeah, working on 1969 classics like Himitsu no Sakura-chan. And then by the 1980s, he was shaping the foundational look of Dragon Ball, Saint Seiya, and Dr. Slump during Toei Animation's golden era.
Okay, let's unpack this a bit because there's something we need to clarify. The anime industry usually separates character animation like, drawing the moving figures on cells from painting the static backgrounds.
Exactly, and Ebisawa was this total anomaly who bridged those disciplines.
Right, he had this unapologetic, high-energy Shonen Jump aesthetic. I kind of see him less as a traditional artist and more like a rhythm guitarist who sets the tempo for an entire musical genre.
Oh, that is a great way to put it.
Yeah, he wasn't just drawing action. He was inventing the structural rules that gave real physical weight to, say, Goku's Kamehamehas, or giving that celestial glow to Saint Armor.
Right, he didn't just draw action, he directed its soul. And that weight came directly from his absolute mastery of poster color and physical texture.
Which is wild because his whole identity was tied to physical paper, right? So how does an artist like that survive when the industry aggressively pivots to computers in the late 90s?
Well, you'd expect him to just become obsolete, but instead he does the exact opposite. He joins Ufotable in the mid-2000s.
Which is a studio famous for cutting-edge digital effects.
Exactly, and he becomes their traditional anchor. There's this legendary story highlighted in the article about the Garden of Sinners, specifically Chapter 4, The Hollow Shrine. Ebisawa hand-painted almost the entirety of the film's backgrounds entirely by himself.
So what did this all mean? Like, did he do this solo effort just because he stubbornly refused to learn Photoshop? Or was he trying to definitively prove that software could never replicate a master's brush?
What's fascinating here is that it was definitely a deliberate demonstration of what software couldn't do. I mean, digital rendering at that time was incredibly clean, but it lacked the chaotic, microscopic grain of real paint.
Right, it was too perfect.
Exactly. Ebisawa knew that drawing rain-slicked alleys or shadowed shrines required actual, wet pigments bleeding into paper. It created a mood that feels genuinely tangible.
So he was forcing a hybrid approach. He wasn't rejecting the digital pipeline, he was giving it a soul to work with, but he also realized he couldn't be the lone guy with a paintbrush forever, right? To preserve that craft in a digital world, he had to teach.
Yeah, from 2009 onward, as Ehotable's art department head, he trained the next generation. He mentored them on how to integrate paint into the 4K era.
And he worked on the Demon Slayer Infinity Castle arc, right up until the very end. Here's where it gets really interesting for you listening. You are literally seeing the physical fingerprints of a 1969 paintbrush hiding inside a modern streaming hit.
Yeah, underneath the digital flash of Fate Zero or those vibrant wisteria forests in Demon Slayer, he ensured a hand-painted foundation. They would scan his rich physical textures at incredibly high resolutions.
Oh, wow. So it's not just a flat painting in the back?
No, not at all. They would take those scans and digitally map them onto 3D environments.
So his career perfectly bridged the gap from black and white television straight through to global 4K streaming without ever losing the human touch.
He absolutely did. He proved technological advancement doesn't mean the death of physical craft.
It's amazing. And it leaves you with something profound to consider today. As we push further into an era of increasingly automated and flawlessly rendered digital art, what subtle human imperfections, like those tiny chaotic bleeds of watercolor on paper, will we suddenly realize we've lost forever?